Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Founder Voices, the podcast that spotlights bold founders, visionary leaders, building for people, not just for profit. I'm your host, Clement Akron, founder of Cottage Factory, a venture support studio, amplifying early startup journeys, social enterprises, and community leaders across the UK and West Africa. Today, we're joined by a remarkable guest, Micah Elechi, founder and CEO of Macklemore Solution and visionary behind AfrikLink. Micah is based in Canada, is doing some dynamic entrepreneurial stuff with Tech Leader, and he's a tech leader himself, empowering African professionals through innovation, practical training, and global work opportunities. His mission is to build Africa's digital future through sustainable and tech-driven solution. Micah, welcome.
All right, thank you so much, Peter, for having me today. Such a pleasure. I'm looking forward to this great discussion.
Excellent. All right, before we start, give me an highlight of your week. How was your week, Micah?
Over here, week goes fast. The weekend we have shorter weekdays and longer weekend because this part of the world, everyone is doing something every day. In fact, your next 3 days is occupied even if you've not seen the day. So, but my week went well. It was quite productive. Got some good news. My personal journey. I'm currently studying my MBA right now, and I'm completing some research work. So I'll say that my week went so well.
Excellent. And what's your research on?
I'm researching on African startups and the dynamics. I've come to understand that a lot of people are building the same thing, and you can just see apps there everywhere solving same problem, and a lot of money are invested in the app. So I'm writing based on my research of the past African startup in the last 5 years, and how we can change our young ones' mindset in businesses and how to invest.
Wow, I'll be really interested in reading that research. It's interesting. When I did my MBA, I also focused on Nigeria. I looked at the mining sector, looking at the potential of diversification from, the main source of revenue, as it were, at the time for the country, which was petroleum products. Look at how we can diversify into the mining sector, but also look at case studies. I looked at the low-level mining, especially indigenous mining companies, and I took it and I looked at the potential for them. I looked at government's policy. If government policies were enabling them or stifling them from growing. This was a while back. This was in 2017, so it'd be good to revisit it and see if there's any mileage or growth or progression. Great. So let's start. Tell us about Micah. Who's Micah? Tell us your background, and let's start from there.
My name is Micah Elechi. I'm from Rivers State, Port Harcourt. Not Port Harcourt as the city though, but when we say Rivers State, we say Port Harcourt. I'm from a local government called Onelga Omok. It's close to Awoda. Not many people know Awoda right now because of the famous Rivers State artist Burna Boy. So I'm just like a few minute drive from his hometown. I am an entrepreneur. My journey started as a fashion designer, though that's I'm wearing an African outfit right now.
Interesting.
So my journey started as a fashion designer, and that was the first business I ever had. I studied geography, environmental science in the University of Calabar, and after school, it was very difficult to get a job in Nigeria. Very difficult. The first job I worked for was for a hotel, 20,000. And my manager kept reducing my salary for mistakes. So you can imagine if someone reduces your salary while you're making just 20,000. So life was difficult. We are 8. I have 7 siblings. All of them are alive. or I'm married now. I just recently got married January 19 this year.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. So I was looking for a way out and how to survive in Nigeria. What should I do? And I started Macklemore Fashions. I was distributing a lot of clothes, doing some marketing on Facebook, sending clothes to Canada, US, England. God was faithful to me, my customer reach. But then, while being on Facebook, social media, you start seeing tech courses, learn this, learn this, learn that. And I was like, I could go into this as well. So I went to learn how to make graphic design. And I said, okay, things are going well. This is more easy because you just have to do it online. You don't go through the stress. So I decided to form Macklemore Solutions. It was just me as of then, a graphic design company. And I was getting a lot of clients. One of the things I know is that whatever I choose to do in life, I'm always successful. So I expanded by seeing other tech services I can provide, and Macklemore Solution was bettered. I started employing people there in Nigeria. We work together as a team. We get to tractions, and that's where we are today.
Fantastic. So, graphic design mostly at the time.
Yeah, at the time, graphic design because that's all I could do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, then we started offering web designs and also offering these services as a training as well.
Mm.
People want to learn, so we also start having classes as a training. And then we were just doing branding and web design, but I never liked Naira. So what I was looking then was how I can use what I do to make US dollars. So
Mm.
I was always reaching out to people in the state, letting them know that these services are paid for in the state, but I can do it for this amount. Who I am, I send my portfolio. I believe more in outreach than social media campaign. So I believe in researching individuals that need your services and posting on social media all the time, because then you can have conversation and discuss the person pain. So if there's anyone in Nigeria or anywhere in the world that's looking into the global markets, it's not by social media. People don't trust. So you have to research the person, let the person know that you're real. Give us any proof you can, because the first thing is are you real? That's the first thing that comes to people's mind. But if you can be transparent enough to say you're real, okay, I can do this without a pay. That's one of my strategy. I can do this, you pay me later. I could just show you I could do it, right? But still yet you have to be careful because people might want to get free services. So you have to implement strategy that doesn't allow them to take it for free. Like watermark. Sometimes you don't, if you're building a website, sometimes you don't host it yet on their domain. You just build it and send them the file, and they could view that, okay, this is what you've done, right? So this is what I was doing. I show people that I can do something, not just the money. And then I start building trust. One of the best thing for businesses is referral. Referral is the best way to get business. When someone's beating their chest, letting their friend know you did this for me, he can do it. So that was how in our first year when we got into web design, in a month we used to have like over 10 to 20 website requests.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so we built a lot of website. We did some work with. We even got connection with the Bayelsa State government as of then. That's now 22. We did a website for the sports team.
Mm.
I'm through one of my web developer, the Bayelsa Governor Football Cup then, and then it led a lot of tractions from our team, other companies as well. So yeah, that was generating real revenue. I was in Nigeria. I was paying over 20 developers a month, and because how the projects were coming in, it was really great with the traction, and we made scale from there. So now, when I traveled to Canada, 2023, I
Mm.
traveled for my studies. I studied cybersecurity, and then I was seeing like, oh, this is a market here in Canada, right? A lot of people need these services, but I always want to do things differently. So cybersecurity people are dead, not getting jobs because they're waiting for companies to pay them $100 an hour, $200 an hour, which sometimes company doesn't have the money to pay. So I always look at people pain point in business, and I try to go into the more proactive method. Now, vulnerability is only getting if they have an employee that is vulnerable. So how can we solve this problem? Is by training. And if your staffs are not trained, even if you have the best cybersecurity engineers in your company, you always get hacked or exposed because you're getting people who are not trained, right? So we go into this methodology by offering training to companies. Even if you have a cybersecurity team, there's some training that every team member must know in your organization to reduce the risk. So when we did that, that was how we got known in the Canadian market and the US market as well. And then we offer cybersecurity now in our company as a service and also as a training service as well.
Interesting. So in your customer segment, how would you describe your clients?
We started by having small businesses. The challenges with small businesses is very interested but don't have money to pay. And we have to pay people who are working with us month to month. So now we focus more on medium-sized and large enterprise. The location base is mostly in the United States and Canada. Because I'm in Canada, my wife is from the States and she's part of the business. So she works so hard to get the clients in the States as well with her presence. I do my best here in Canada to get a lot of staff, and we're already partnering with a lot of schools here in Canada. And also some organization. But in Nigeria as well, we're partnering with the mall, Smart City Mall, and other large enterprise too as well, where we offer training services. We have been working on some projects, which I can say here for security reasons recently. But we want more focus on people who understand the value. And Nigerian companies, not all, shout the medium size, some businesses don't really understand the value of the importance of data, because we're focusing on data privacy, storing companies' data. A lot of mistake people do about cloud system of storing data and things like that. So that's where we come in to train people and also reduce the risk of you spending more. We are more proactive than reactive. Yeah.
Excellent. So if we want to divide the segments into a percentage, let's use a pie chart. How would you allocate percentages to within the portfolio that you have? In terms of, let's say, in terms of geographic spread. So you mentioned Canada, you mentioned Nigeria, and you mentioned the US.
I would say mostly in the US.
Mostly in the US. What percentage roughly?
We have 50 in the US. We have 30 in Canada. Then we have 15 in Nigeria, and then we have 5 in the whole Africa.
In Africa wide, okay. Yeah. So in terms of your growth potential, where do you see it emerging from?
From the United States.
From the US. And why is that the case?
Because most of our staff is in the US. US is big now in cybersecurity and software development. For Canada, we have a lot of competitors, and also in the US too, but we have a strong team in the US. So that's why I could say the team are doing better in the US than the team here in Canada. Nigeria, we do have issues with people understanding the value of what we bring, and we don't want to spend time. We want people reaching out to us than we convincing people that this is what we can do. And the US market reaches out to us more often than any other market.
Yeah. So you actually achieve product market fit in the US, and obviously over time there are lessons that you can learn there and pick up and use those to penetrate other markets. And it's interesting you mentioned the fact that you have a strong team in the US, so you already know where your strengths lies and perhaps where the weaknesses are. So that's great. It's always the sign of a proactive and intentional CEO. So tell us more about the fashion element. Do you still do fashion, or have you left that now?
I do fashion once in a while. I always believe one needs to have a niche, because I have to have a bio, and you shouldn't see that He's a cybersecurity engineer, an entrepreneur, a fashion designer, a musician. It's gonna be like, who is this guy, right? But I do
Are
other
you also a
things.
musician?
Yeah, I play music professionally.
Wow,
Uh,
what instrumental
yeah,
or
keyboards.
vocalist?
I play the instrument. I play keyboard and I play guitar, the bass guitar.
Wow.
Yeah, I played for a few minutes at the Jamaica Reggae Song Feast 2022.
But
Um,
that's a beautiful balance, though. That's a
yeah,
beautiful balance because
it's
it's one of those
beautiful.
kind of things that you can mention as your hobby that would excite people when you're talking about yourself. Okay, I'm doing cybersecurity, I'm doing this, but also, that I'm using the right side of my brain, which I do the same, but I don't play musical instruments. I'm into poetry. I love cultural events, music, live music, and all that. I'm a consumer, I would say. I'm not.
Oh, great.
Yeah, but I've dabbled in writing. I've written a book. I've written a play that was performed in the local library in Norbury. So I love that. I love that balance of using the right side of my brain and the left side. So yeah, go ahead. Tell me more about.
Yeah, with that it helps because it's something that what you do every day become boring. So because I do IT every day, it becomes boring. So sometimes let me just do something fun, and that's music. I have my keyboard in my home. But let me just do something fun. Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is, as a profession, I don't see it anymore, because I have to have a niche. But it's fun. That was the first thing I did in Nigeria, not as a business, but as a young guy growing up, going from different church to church and playing instrument, and the pastor gives you money. Most of what discouraged me is, sometimes they tell you that there's a show somewhere, you dress up, you prepare, and they cancel the show. And then all the money, sometimes you even have to take money from family, friends, preparing that, oh, we're gonna pay them back. But people didn't find, maybe if I was born overseas, I would have done better in music because I was so passionate about it. I used to sing there in church as a boy. But the way
You
people
sound
don't.
you sound like it's too late.
Yeah, it's not like it's too late. It's just like the way I live day to day. I actually work part time as a consultant here, as a cybersecurity consultant in Canada. I'm affiliated with a lot of organizations, like 3 organizations here now, and sometimes.
Fractional work.
Yeah, so sometimes I'm booked throughout the week. I have to physically handle calls, train people,
Mm.
and it's a lot. So I don't know the time that I can now put into doing music full time. Maybe I have to teach my kids how to do it so they can be able to take it off from me. But yeah, I enjoy music. Every Saturday, Sunday, sometimes I go to the church, so I can be able to put my hands on the keyboard or guitar, and they're so excited to see me too. And they be like, "You don't even rehearse, you don't train with us. How come you're so good?" I said, "This is a gift. Like anytime I put my hands on the keyboard, I do something crazy." But
Wow, wow,
yeah,
wow.
it's time.
Wow, wow. It
Mm.
sounds like if you had a magic wand, you would be playing music.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
You will
Yeah.
be because it's something, and it's amazing because I always encourage people that it's something we need to aspire to. There's nothing as good as doing what you enjoy. It really, and oftentimes, yeah, there's survival mode where we have to do things almost like a means to an end. But ultimately, you want to be in that zone. When people talk about retirement, people that love what they do not retire because
Yeah.
they love and enjoy what they do. They live to do it. So it's a key part of the essence. And yeah, so retirement, and they don't see it as work. You see it
Mm.
as play, something you enjoy doing. And that is beautiful. So tell me more about AfrikLink. So there's Macklemore and there's AfrikLink. Tell me more about AfrikLink. What is AfrikLink?
Yeah. This is one of the reasons why I don't do fashion anymore, because when I came to Canada, I was doing both Macklemore solutions, which is IT side, and also doing the fashion. Because Canada is a big place in African fashion. Like, you make good money here if you invest in African wear. So my first year in Canada, I was invited to a lot of fashion shows. The Toronto Fashion Week, I was a designer there. Canada Raw, and so many events, which can be checked on my fashion website. But when I thought about what I was doing, it was too much, and I had to break it down. So I stopped doing the fashion for a while. AfrikLink is a vision that came to me one day. I was on a call with Microsoft. I took the Microsoft 365 exam, and I was having issues with logging in, and I called Microsoft customer service, and I could hear an Indian guy speaking, and then I was like, okay. I had another issue with Microsoft, and another Indian guy picked the call. So also I had a situation where I also have to call another organization, a call center organization, and an Indian guy picked the call as well. Well, I'm happy for the ASEAN community. I was like, why is it that so many companies are outsourcing their remote positions to the ASEAN, the Indians? What about Africa? Like, why is it that these opportunities are not coming to Africa? Meanwhile, I know we have smart people. And you can see, if you get a remote job, like I work as a project manager some time ago for a company, and it was a product management to manage a product. All the developers are Indians, and this company is in the US. So I said Africans are missing out because we have great developers. We have. So firstly, I thought about having LinkedIn for Africa, like an app where Africans is just Africa. But I made a lot of research, and then I saw that there's platforms like that. And also, how can I make people just go to a platform and hire Africa? Because people, it's not like they don't know where to hire the Africans, but they're not doing that. So it has to be a more secure platform. It has to be a more trusted platform. And I thought about it as an agency, because an agency, you take accountability, they trust you, they check your portfolio, than just a freelancing platform. So hence comes AfrikLink. AfrikLink also came out when I came here to Canada. I don't check my mails anymore. I have to start using a different email because I get a lot of emails. I'm looking for a job. Most of them don't even know how to apply. Unfortunately, I can't share my screen. Some people might you can just go see your email. I hereby apply for this position with a command, and like, who is this person? Some lot of grammar issues when they are writing emails to apply for a job. Their CV.
Sometimes these are graduates.
Yes, these are graduate, master's degree. You see the CVs, you be like, the resumes. You see a lot of certification, masters, schools. Like, why is this person writing email like this for the first time? You don't even know me. I'm telling you, like, look at this, and I'll be so disappointed. I'll be like, this is the reason why these guys are not getting these remote jobs. It's not like they're not good, but there's a problem. So I met my team. I was like, okay, we are employing a lot of Africans, but Macklemore Solutions, our offerings are limited just to IT, right? But there's a lot of things people can do remotely right now: accounting services, payrolls, business administrations, and so many jobs can be done remote because most
help desk. Yeah,
because most people now work from home. And I also say, okay, what about the brain drain issue where everyone think they have to travel overseas, leave their families to survive? Like, how can we solve that? So AfrikLink came on board, and we do to place Africans to global market. I would say so far it's not easy to get a qualified African professional. This is the truth. Not based on their expertise, but based on character,
soft skills,
and most importantly, appreciation. We have placed a lot of people in AfrikLink, but unfortunately, they are not Nigerians. We have Nigerians who we have placed because that's where we registered the organization first. But appreciation goes a long way. When somebody appreciates the job, you can see somebody who say they are a developer, they have no portfolio, right? And you give them an opportunity to have a portfolio, and you don't see that they appreciate the job that they have been given, right? They see like they deserve the job, which is fine.
Sense of entitlement.
Yeah, which is fine. Someone doesn't have to have a low esteem, but it has to be balanced.
Mm.
While you know your value, you also have to appreciate an opportunity, because that makes you to deliver your best, right? So then we enhance this training, that we have a compulsory training, a soft skill training for anybody who want to employ. And sometimes Nigeria don't pass it. It no matter how much you train them, the client relationship, the communication, right? We've seen a situation where we have somebody working for a client and they don't have electricity for 2 days and they never said anything. So how do you think is okay? And I understand it, because we dwell on the problem all the time in Nigeria, because we don't have problem solving skills. There's no electricity. If you can solve that, you can communicate. But there was none, and then nobody saw you for 2 days. So this is our problem. Why young African Nigerian youth, some African countries do, but we can say, like, from our assessment, we can see that the Eastern Africans are really willing to work. So most of our placement has come from Ethiopia. We also get a lot of our placement from Zimbabwe, South Africa, and we have seen that they are more willing to work in the global market.
Wow, that's a shame. That really is a shame. That really is a shame. I wish you could put together a white paper. And I don't know. The thing is, I was talking to a friend last week. I think we tend to see a lot being from the outside. But also we feel frustrated because there is no way of addressing these problems.
Yeah.
You understand? There is no channel where all these very useful findings. I mean, this is real world data that you're talking about here, where you provide assessments to a country that's called the Giant of Africa. And per capita, you notice that the East Africans, the Ethiopians, are doing better in these assessments. Not only that, I've always talked about our work ethics as Nigerians. Our work ethics is a shame, but it's often poor. It's often poor. I mentor a few people here, and I tell them, some of them master students, some of them have been here, say, look, get your priorities right. You understand?
Yeah.
You can't begin to make demands until you are in demand. This our sense of entitlement. You are a nobody. You understand? Humble yourself. Get the skill. Listen to people that have the knowledge and experience. Learn from them. And over time, you will get there. The other thing you pointed out is this inability to communicate. I offered a placement to students, through a placement office at one of the universities, and it was the same thing. And we would agree that, okay, when are you available? I'll throw the question to him. When you tell me I'm available on this days. Okay, fine. Let's have a meeting. And I'll turn up in the meeting with clients, and this guy would not, no text, nothing, and I'll now be the one chasing him. What happened? Oh, sir, this and that, And this is the thing, that false sense of humility, sir, man. But you're not doing what is right. It's not about the sir, man. Call me Clem. Forget about the sir, man. And apply yourself effectively. If you're not going to make a meeting, let me know. These things happen. I'm running late, or I'll not be able to attend. And, and I now told him, I said, okay, let's book a meeting for a review. And that was the last I heard of this guy. I think he panicked. I like, let's book a meeting let's understand what your challenges are. And this is a guy in the UK, so I can understand what you're talking about. But it's interesting also, I was listening to, a guy that went back. He was based in the US. He went back, and he's a serial entrepreneur. He started a few enterprises, and he was talking about one of the main problems with these new enterprises that are kicking off in Nigeria especially, and he talked about skills again. He talked about skills that oftentimes, sadly, they would have to employ people from South Africa to train the people in Nigeria, employ people from places like Sri Lanka, Vietnam, and all these other places, Philippines, India, obviously, to train the people in Nigeria. And oftentimes, even after training them, all of a sudden, that same guy that came in, humbly was learning, just at the first training, he starts making demands. The next minute, he's left. So even when you invest in them, retention is a huge challenge. I mean, share. I think you want to come in. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, one of the things I'm trying to find out is what is the root cause. Is it culture? Is it influence? Or is it poverty? Nigeria is not poor. Nigeria has money in their hands compared to other African countries. An average Nigerian who is not working can spend 20,000 a day. An average South African.
I say the same thing. Because I'm Australian. So I was born in Freetown. I've been to Freetown and all that. I say the same thing. I've been to Liberia. I say the same thing. These are countries that per capita are far poorer, but the way people appreciate life, their work ethics, their that sense of entitlement that we have, it's nothing compared to these other countries. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm trying to find out what is the problem. I would say the problem is patient. We do placement in Macklemore Solutions and AfrikLink as well, and we got placement. There's this girl, she just got employed with us recently because she was on her internship and she was working so hard. She was learning, she was working so hard. I've seen Africans from other countries willing to do something for you just to learn, and they stay patient. They're very patient for a long time. I think Nigerians are really influenced with what they see online, what people tell them.
You think more than other African countries?
Yeah, I think they are really influencing what they see online, what they research online, and they don't get validation for it. Because with AfrikLink we place people. So I was having this interview with a Nigerian girl that I think she even needs more training. Because some of them come with a lot of audio experience. I've interviewed a lot of cybersecurity engineers in Nigeria, and they say, "Oh, I have Compare Plus, I have Micro," and they start sending you Udemy certifications. These are not recognized certifications. So sometimes I call them audio experience, and sometimes you give them an assessment, they can't even do it immediately. So I had this interview with this girl, and her CV was 2-page, lot of experience. I was a little bit impressed with her experience, and I said, okay, this is good for the job. But when I had the interview with her, I asked her some questions, like simple questions. I'll give you an example. Your boss is not around, and they send you an email. You don't know the person who is sending this email, and the content of the email says, you need to send this document now or you miss the opportunity. This is just a simple question. And what will you do? You cannot reach out to your boss, nothing. She said she'll send the email on behalf of her boss. And I was like, okay. So after telling her the right thing to do, I asked her a question. What is your salary expectation? She said $35 an hour. I said, okay. I said, why are you charging $35 an hour? She said, because that's what people pay virtual assistant. I said, okay. So I was, why would somebody in Canada employ a virtual assistant in Nigeria and pay you $35 an hour? I'm not saying we don't work what other people in, but what is the essence of the employment? You're far away from the person cannot reach out to you. The person also have to deal with the bridge, because there's also the bridge of communication and understanding for the period of time. Cultural difference. So I was like, how can you go research how much they have to pay you, but you don't even know the job description day to day on what you need to do? So I think this is the problem, the patient. Like, you don't take time to understand what you want to do. You don't take time to build your portfolio. You can agree with me that if you call a developer right now in Nigeria, send me your portfolio. They don't have up to 5 solid portfolio of websites, of app they have built. Some of them will actually send you something that is not hosted, maybe a landing page or something. This is my experience. They don't have portfolio. And why they don't have portfolio is because one or two opportunities they have gotten, they are not trained to impress a client. There's always a bridge. And either be by money, communication, they want to get paid fast. The job is not even done. Everybody must understand a pain point of their clients. That is one thing about me. I do have consultations before I go into an project. I want to understand, what is it you want me to solve? How can I help you? Right? Because that's the foundation of business, is to solve a problem. And
Absolutely.
then, yeah, so when you're able to solve that problem, you can move forward from there. So I feel like Nigeria needs more mentorship, training. People should invest in training youth on their mindset, because when a mind is not stable, when somebody's mind, I can remember, I won't say I was perfect. Like, if I remember what I was doing 6 years ago and what I'm doing now, I feel ashamed of myself in terms of attitude, in terms of how I respond to things, in terms of how I rush into decision, in terms of what I do day to day. And I come to now that I process things all over and all over again, check my words, there's a lot of difference. So sometimes it pains me that somebody doesn't know what they're doing. And I feel like this person deserves an opportunity to know what they are doing before criticizing them. So I feel we need to invest more on training that calls people together, give them scenarios, show them proof that your attitude needs to be checked. Over here in Canada, before you get a job, they do behavior assessment, because nobody wants to deal with somebody with a bad behavior despite the skill you have, because that behavior can come into the organization and spoil everything. People get
Absolutely. They, they,
yeah,
they, they say culture trumps strategy any given day.
yeah. So people come into organization and start causing problem because there's no behavioral check. How this person behave day to day is very important. So they give those assessment on writing and also physical assessments. Sometimes we add drama in the office just to
Role
see how
play, yeah, interpersonal skills, yeah.
yeah, just to understand how you respond to situation is very important. Yeah.
Wow. Where do we start with this? I mean, it's such a shame because in terms of population, in terms of youth population, there's so much that can be done, and yet these findings are not getting to the right people. Perhaps they are, and the people themselves in government are perplexed, because not only is the educational system falling short, but the soft skills, the cultural intelligence, and the ability to adapt seems also lacking. And I think also it's something, personally, I think it's something that's getting worse over time.
Yeah.
Because I remember, those that came in the 90s, it was easy for us to assimilate. There were core skills that we had. It was easy for us to get into the system and adapt and adjust really quickly. We were listening to the same kind of music. It was amazing. I came here and, you talk about popular culture. It's the same thing. We were watching MTV. We knew all the artists and all that. It was the early days of satellite TV and all that, CNN and all these 24-hour news network coming up. But it was fairly easy, compared to now, for people that were coming from, the developing world to assimilate into the Western culture. And one would have thought that it would be easier now, because with access to social media on your phone, in the 90s, there were no mobile phones and all that. All these developments came in later. You would have thought that these people are consuming culture every day on their phone without even having to go and switch on the TV and all that, or go to the cinema and watch the kind of movies we were watching then, or perhaps listen to music that were coming from this side of the world. But yet it was still a lot easier for us to adapt, for us to integrate, for us to pick things up, pick skills up, and quickly go into senior management and stuff like that. Why do you think that problem is there? Why do you think it's almost like with the digital divide closing, the cultural divide is even getting wider? Or perhaps even the skills demand, the divide itself is getting wider. Scary. We're talking about AI now. We've not even scratched the surface on basic things like websites. And I know what you're talking about. I used to work for, a web technology company, and I tried a few times to get into the African market and all that. People tell you, why do I need a website? I don't need a website. I'm getting clients every day and all that. This is waste of money. Nobody does website here. We just use WhatsApp. And I'm like, wow, okay, interesting. So we're talking about selling the need for people to have a web presence. And yet we've moved way beyond. We're talking about AI, we're talking about Gen AI and all this stuff now. The gap is getting wider. So when I hear people saying, oh, Africa is the future, I'm like, how? What do you mean? Explain that to me. What are your thoughts on that? I'm optimistic. I hope they're right by saying Africa is the future, but what do you think?
Africa is the future. I think they have to be specific and how and explain how Africa is in the future. Maybe with the potentials, they're correct, but with the actions, I don't see it. Right from time, anyone who knows history, we know that Africa has always been potential for the future. I recently wrote a book which I'm going to publish soon. Just going to give you an insight of what the book's all about.
When is the book due out? When is it due out?
The book will be due on the 30th of June. I'll share it on my LinkedIn. The book is How Africa Can Emulate China.
Wow.
Yeah. Knowing
is it self-published, or were you commissioned to write it?
Yes, it's self-published.
Fantastic.
And then my book talks about after China saw poverty after the war, what China did, and Africa can emulate China to get to that growth mindset. We can see from history what happened in Mali, the European nation war. Why they stopped fighting was because they saw the potentials in Africa. Musa, the richest man who has ever lived in Mali, that's what the attraction that caused the European nation to come to Africa. But that's not what we want to get into right now. We have these potentials, but we're not putting the actions in place. And then with technology wise, with AI coming in, and people are saying people who are actually saying AI is the future, they're right. But sometimes you have to call them close and ask them, what do they understand about AI? Everyone is shouting AI, then most of them are not even using it properly. For the culture, I want to say that this is why Africa needs to get into tech. You can see futures on applications. It's not African culture related. Just like instance, if I want to send you a message or your LinkedIn, it's going to give me an option with Hi Cliff. Right? Even if I'm 6 years old and you're 50 years old, right? This is not African culture. Our culture, we need to add "sir" to the name, right? We need to add something to the name we're addressing an elder. And so many futures that we are using today in the digital world does not embrace our culture. And where do we have our youth day to day is in these applications, in these softwares that is not built by us, because no one is implementing African culture in these softwares. And our cultures are going away, because now you see a youth, because they have a communication with the West in such a manner, they feel they can bring that same communication with you, and they forget the culture, they forget the background that you as an African person, you're not going to accept this way of communication, even if they have this way of communication with someone else. So that's causing the bridge with our culture. So we have to be also inclusive, but we also have to be picky on what we do. AI is good, but it could also be dumb as well. You can look at what happened to Israel when they trusted AI on their security and what Iran did over the 1,000 people that was bombed. It's a platform that works with prompt. Companies now are building their own AI because they don't trust the AI platform, right? They are building their AI. But one thing is, the human brain is highest of all because only our brain refines, only our brain thinks something new. AI is downloaded with the knowledge, but our brain is renewed day to day with come good ideas. So yeah, that's what I have to say with this. If I want to talk about AI, talk about tech, I don't think we're going to end this meeting in the due time.
Excellent. It's interesting. So you've always had a global first um, 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 philosophy in the things that you embarked on. You talked about your fashion brand. The next thing you were looking at, getting in and out and getting paid in hard currency and stuff, which is brilliant. So, and you've replicated that with the various ventures you've embarked on, including AfrikLink, where you're looking at a global array of stakeholders playing an interesting role. So with AfrikLink, how do you get your funding from? Do you get your funding from the employers? And for instance, that training element that you're doing, how is that funded?
Oh yeah, for the training we have partners. We have training partners. We also have teams like from Macklemore, my company, who do this training and interviews. And we have our boarding fee. Each employer has to pay a one-time boarding fee, and then we're an agency, so they pay us and we pay our clients. So that's how we generate revenue.
Okay, so you get it from the employers. The other thing I was going to ask you, how many employers are happy about employing people from Africa, especially with the latest vibe now around nation first, make America great again, employ our own indigenes and all that stuff. Are people open to the idea of employing staff from the developing world, especially Africa?
Yeah, because we found a strategy that work with that.
Tell me about the strategy.
Yeah, our double tax system. We get compliances from lawyers that allows Africans that we employ to pay tax in the country. So, for instance, a company, just like you're publishing a book with a company in the US, you're paying two tax. You're paying to the US government and you're also paying to the Nigerian government. How you get the money, right? Through the remittance, Western Union, or MoneyGram. And then the company takes their tax from the mergers like Amazon. It's a double tax system. So that's how AfrikLink benefit the country. Also, we're not asking companies to not employ their citizens, right? We're just supporting, so you can have the senior developers in your country and you can have the junior developers in Africa. Our business expansion program also give companies a reason to employ African, because we do create an office space. If you employ a number of Africans, right? If you employ 10 Africans, you can have an office in Ethiopia. Now you can serve the Ethiopian market as well. So we know what to tell people to let them know that this is something great to do. And yes, I agree with Trump policy, not all his policy. I don't discuss politics in making America great again. You have to invest first in your country before you look at helping other people. It's priority. Yeah, but AfrikLink is here to support, not to take the job.
So that's interesting. So you and I like this. So you've actually spinned it to almost like an expansion initiative.
Yeah.
So have you considered doing business in Nigeria? Have you considered employing the talent from Nigeria? Have you considered selling your services in Nigeria?
Exactly.
That is a powerful spin. I love that. I love that. And how did that come about? Was that something, because like any entrepreneur, we know we entrepreneurs are interesting people. You
Yeah.
know, they are adventurers. They're people that are risk takers. They're people that step out when everybody's playing safe. So I'm sure you had this idea, and oftentimes I feel that way. That sometimes as if the idea sets you up. You get the idea, and you're like, wow. In your mind, it's like, yes, everything is worked out. Then you now step out. Then the reality kicks in. Then you're like, ah. But because you've stepped out, you keep innovating, iterating till you find it right.
Yeah.
Tell me about that journey, because I'm sure you didn't just sit and think, oh, if I meet an employer and say, hey, expand and all that, you would have thought, oh, if I meet employers and tell them about employing talents from Africa, they should be excited and all that, isn't it? Tell
Yeah,
me.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll be like, the powerful thing we have is our mind
Our
and
mind.
our speech. There's how I generate leads. Like, sometimes I just have one lead and I work with one lead, and even if that's what I achieve in a month, one lead rather, I'll be so excited than having 300 leads, 400 leads, emails, and then you're just sending random mails without proper research and pinpoint. So I do think about things before I reach out to anybody. And then I look at the person's company, numbers of employers they have, services they have, and then I say, okay, how can I reach out to this person? What should I tell this person? I have some other ways I do research, which is my own strategy. But we started, like AfrikLink, we started to get an app, right? And everyone was like, let's build an app like LinkedIn, which is a very great idea. That's how we started, because we built an app first. But we having such an application comes with maintenance, making revenue, managing the project, so tedious, waiting for the app to work before you start your model. This is one thing people are taking so long to understand. And I started going, no, this is not working, right? You change as time goes. And then, like you said, ideas are not usually formed in the beginning. You just need to start. And so expansion program came from when I stopped our remote talent to work from home because of challenges. So I was getting an office space for them. So if I employ someone in Nigeria, I usually find an office space around that region and pay and make sure the person's in the office space. And then I come think about it. Well, I have 5 people in this office space and I'm paying this amount of money. How much is the rent in that particular location, right? How much is registering a business in the US and Nigeria to operate? Wow, this is an idea. I'll let these people see their office in Nigeria and they'll be so excited. So I tried it, and then I showed this person the office and he was so excited. Wow. So it's easier for us to do this, but I think like we spend a whole lot of money to do that. And because it's a complimentary service, people like complimentary. We're like, wow. So he started posting on the social media. Oh, my office is set up in Nigeria. My office is set up in Nigeria. My office is set up in Ghana. They were so excited. So I was like, this is a strategy. So we put in our message, show them proof, show them portfolios, show them pictures, and that's really blow mind into them.
Fantastic. I see that personally. I see that with my business hat on. I see that as a service in its own right, where you're helping businesses to have a footprint on the continent, and it's something that will just grow over time. And I can the classic example that Founder Voices was originally an idea to promote what I was doing. So promote my brand, strengthen my brand, but also to interview some of the people I was doing work for. And from the back of that, people started approaching me. Oh, I love what you're doing. Can I be a guest? And it's developing to an offering in its own right. So ideas have a way of roping us in and taking us on a journey. I studied theology a while back, just out of interest, and one of the best module I enjoyed the most was the philosophy elements of it, looking at thinkers, looking at ideas, looking at things like that. And there is a school of thought that ideas themselves are entities on their own, and we only connect with them to fulfill the idea. So there are lots of ideas in the atmosphere, And the same way you tune a radio frequency, if you connect to that idea, then you now become the vehicle to bring that idea to fruition.
Yeah.
So, yeah, absolutely. So all we need to do is to keep ourselves tuned, to keep ourselves, fit, keep ourselves empowered and enabled so we can connect to these ideas, but also that strength, that focus and discipline and fortitude to follow through with these ideas to make sure they're executed, but also knowing when to give up and say, you know what, actually, this is not for me.
Yeah.
I'll leave this for someone else to
Yes.
pursue.
Yes, true. Because
It's interesting. I'm going to link you with another company I work with. I'm still working with them actually, and they have an ethical web agency. And again, it's based on this model. They're based in Albania, and they were looking on how to curb brain drain, so to stop tech and talent from leaving the country. So the idea was to secure contracts and use the tech within Albania to deliver these services. And they've been going through iteration again, like ideas initially, great, yeah, let's go and do it. They've started doing it and they're facing challenges, but they're improving, optimizing. I'm working with them fractionally now, 1 day a month. To help them with their roadmap and stuff. So I think there's synergy because the idea is to start with Albania and replicate the idea in other developing countries, so that we're willing to see how you guys can work together in synergy. Okay, so let's now begin to wind down. It's been an exciting conversation. So where do you see Macklemore and AfrikLink heading in the next 3 to 5 years?
Well, I'm surprised this year because we got a lot of growth, and I didn't do anything. Like I was telling my wife the other day that I'm surprised. A lot of invitation, a lot of awards still coming in.
Tell me about the awards, please. Tell me. Delve into it. Yeah, expand more. The listeners and viewers would like to know what you've achieved, Micah.
Okay, my first ever award came 2024 in London. It's MEA. It's MEA Market Award, and it came to me like a shock. I received a local award, so I will just draw back to this year we are, so I don't start mentioning so many awards. But earlier this year, January, I received an award from the new River State City in Port Harcourt. I was not there. I was shocked. They sent me the award. And it's really, really beautiful. So I posted it because it was really, really a award. 2 months ago, I received an award for Entrepreneur Africa, which is a very nice award too. It's coming from Nigeria, Lagos, and it was shipped down here to me as well.
So who nominates you for these awards?
I don't know, to be honest.
Oh, wow. Amazing.
To be honest, I don't know. 2 weeks ago, I also received a nomination for an award by the Global Enterprise something in London.
Wow.
Yeah, my representative, she's going. We have the governor of Niger State going for the award as well. There's a Nigerian organization, and I was surprised. 2 people reached out from me from London. I was nominated by Forbes, Entrepreneur of Impact. I was also surprised. You can know how you're gonna be happy to be nominated for an organization like Forbes.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
June 28th of this month, I'm going to be awarded as the most influential immigrant in Toronto. I'm going physically for the award. July 27 this year still, I have an award here in Toronto, which is a very good award for best personality.
Wow.
So you can see,
amazing.
I've also been nominated again for the Emmy Award on the AfrikLink as the best innovative platform, and that is in London as well.
Wow.
So a lot of award came this. I have from June to September, I have over 7 awards. And
Wow.
one that stands out for me is two. One, to be nominated in my local town, Port Harcourt, and also to be nominated by Forbes magazine.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's interesting. So how are you going to leverage these awards?
Well, it's overwhelming right now. I want to. I'm checking myself, reflecting on what I've done. Also, sometimes you also have to appreciate things, but don't let it slow you down. I'm excited. This is not where I want to be. I want to be more than what I have right now. But like I said, this year has been good. We have over 60 employees now in Macklemore Solution, not contract paid,
Full-time employees.
full-time employees.
Fantastic. Are they all, and these are based in Nigeria, sorry,
US, all
in
African
US,
countries,
African countries, and
spread out over the world, Indians, and so
wow,
on. So that is an
wow.
excited. Last year we have just 19. So this year we got some partnership with schools, even here in Toronto, to train students, and it has been so awesome. So I was like, okay, this year is the year, right? So
Yeah.
I recognize the Bible, which I'm a Christian.
Hmm.
Says, who finds a wife finds a good. So I tell my wife, you're bringing this blessing to my life.
Wow, 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 wow. For a man to say that, it's something. It's something. Wow, wow. Interesting. So 3 to 5 years now.
Yeah, my mentor is Tony Elemo, the Nigerian founder of UBA Bank. I want to be like him. I was saying this even before he became so famous. I've always liked him. I like what he's doing. I like anything impact. So I'm looking at imparting more people through workforce. I'm not imparting people to entrepreneurship, because I also believe that people need to gain the experience from industry before they start their business, and not just go start their business like that. So I am looking at employing a lot of people from Africa. Yeah, I'm trying to solve the employment issue. So in the 3 to 5 years, I want just the way Tony Elemo is imparting Africans in the 54 countries and giving them those grants. That is how I want to have an employment opportunity for Africans as well.
Some philanthropic work around workforce development and human capital development. That's fantastic. So what advice would you give to emerging founders who want to build something meaningful and they lack the funding and support?
Be humble. Be humble not just when you're around people. Like, make humility your style. See yourself like you have nothing, and see your idea. try to work on your idea more, because sometimes you're just excited. It's not like your idea is really great. And two, seek mentorship. Slow down and try to find a strong team, because people think investment is easy. I'll tell you, like, many people who reach out to me and tell me, are you an investor? Can you attend our program? And then some people usually waste people's time. And this investment thing, they're not even an investor, and they schedule meeting with you. They're looking for investor for you. And you can see how the process is going. You don't know, because I'm telling you, because I've been there. On my profile, hey, can you come to our investor meeting as an investor? I'll be like, I'm not an investor. You have to research me first before you. And then some people will just take those things just because they want to add big on the profile, and they deceive these young ones. And you see these young ones writing pitch decks, refining their pitch decks, seeking 200,000, 300,000. And you have to open your mind and be real. Who invests $300,000 to you for a business that have no fractions, for a CEO that has no profile? And you have to think deep. You can stay years and years and years. So whatever you're trying to build in a robotic application can start with a landing page. You have to start small. The dream you have to minimize it to where you become a doer and not just a dreamer. and then people can see that your model is working. Another thing, you have to create a profile recognition. And once you have done that, so for founders, my last advice is be humble to yourself and to people.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Micah. That is really, really profound. I appreciate that. We've come to the end of another episode of Founder Voices. I want to say thank you to Micah for such an insightful conversation. It's clear that your work is not just about tech, but it's about people. It's about purpose, about transformation. So to our listeners, if you're building with purpose, this platform is for you. Stay tuned for the next episode. We've got a beautiful array of guests that are coming on. And next week the next episode will be a very interesting woman. She has been involved in the developing world, the number of projects, with a number of global charities, and she'll be coming to share experience about what she's learned, successes and challenges and pitfalls. So stay tuned and join us. You know where to find us. It's www.cottagefactory.co.uk/founder voices. I'll say that again, www.cottagefactory.co.uk/founder voices. If you do a search for Cottage Factory Founder Voices on YouTube and SoundCloud, you'll find us. Until next time, keep building boldly. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you too. All right.